Join me on a journey up to the hilltop winter home of PWLitchfield, Goodyear's tire and rubber mogul, and his wife, Florence.
I should go back to the beginning when I made my first visit to the Southwest, 35 years ago. And this hill caught my attention. It was not a big hill, but it was high enough to afford a commanding view of the valley. So it was only natural that when I bought the property, I took the whole 160 acres surrounding the hill, so I would always have a little of the desert to look out over, no matter how completely the country filled up.
The main building, which once belonged to the Litchfields, we're going to be repurposing it into a history museum, showcasing art and culture from the Southwest Valley. Paul Litchfield was an industrial giant during the first half of the 20th century. He was the president and CEO of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company from 1926 to 1940. And during his time there, he raised the company to the point that it became the leading tire manufacturer in the world. And because of that, and because of the patents that he designed for tires, Paul Litchfield was dubbed the Dean of the rubber industry.
Back in the days of the World War I, Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company needed to manufacture tires. In those days, they fabricated tires by using cotton. It was World War I, we couldn't import cotton, and the boll weevil was in the South. So Paul Litchfield was tasked with the responsibility of finding some land so that Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company could grow cotton. So Paul Litchfield scoured the United States and ended up in the Litchfield Park area and found approximately 16,000 acres that he thought would work for growing cotton. He bought the land, and he sent my grandfather out to run the area, and my grandfather became the first general manager of Goodyear Farms. That was raw desert land. What they had to do was bring 1,200 mules and oxen to the area. They cleared the land with pretty rustic tools at that time and got the water running. But what I always thought was amazing was they first had to plant alfalfa, because in order for those mules and oxen to work, they had to eat. So they had to make the hay first to feed the animals, to then plant the cotton. So the first cotton crop came in, it was successful. Started Litchfield Park, and the story went from there.
World War I was the first war that was fought with vehicles that rode on rubber tires. So the things that were happening out in Litchfield Park during that particular time influenced the development of the rubber tire. They did a lot of the testing of the tires out here, as well as growing that long staple cotton. And as everybody remembers, as soon as World War II came, history changed profoundly. We had more and more vehicles and equipment that were run on rubber tires. A great number of farm implements were developed, farm machinery and equipment that all required rubber. So this particular portion of influence in national development of the rubber industry was critical to Goodyear.
It always amazed me that the men who worked the cotton and the women who also helped with the cotton didn't just build the crop, they built a town.
The property hasn't been inhabited since about 1995, when it was used as a residence and it was maintained as one. And over the last many years, it has really suffered in several different ways. Every time I go to the site, I notice significant changes. So the sooner that we can get started on preserving that interior and the exterior, the sooner the building will be saved.
Litchfield touched the nation. Paul Litchfield did, Goodyear Farms did, And now we're going to be able to touch people also. And hopefully we're going to be able to touch the spirit that those men and women did who built the town and built the state and touched the nation. It is so exciting that we're going to have the opportunity to have the Southwest Valley in neon lights and beautiful artifacts. I can't wait for the doors to open.
Well, what I see is the center hub of a community place that never existed in this kind here in Phoenix. So this not only is the Litchfield Park Historical Society center, but the site itself is a community place where people can come and walk in a park and experience a hill that was private and now becomes public, to experience what it was like to have, you know, a drive that brought you up to a house. This is a very big procession to a really dramatic place. And I think that the house will now feel even grander than it did, because we're taking the side of the house that was actually the back part and turning it into the front, which now has created a much better front door for the public, but we still are preserving the exterior original entrances, so you can still feel what it was like to walk to a big villa that was created for a family.
As you approach the building, you will see here as we're coming up the hill, this is the original where the garage was, where a new entry will be. And then over here, as you come around, this is actually going to be the new main entry where the pool once was. You can see that we have maintained the original stairs, and you can access the terrace there, or you can come up through the new tower that we have added in the traditional style of the building to try and create a seamless addition. As you come around the site, we've tried to maintain some of the original landscaping and terracing by adding a few retaining walls just to help stabilize the area. And this over here is where the original bedroom was and the front entry around the side. And again, another straight on view of the new entry provided for the main level. This is our front entryway with our front greeting counter. And this room will essentially be a more modern type space, but it will really serve as the entry point to the rest of the building, where you will have a sense of going back in time to the original home as you walk through. This is the new assembly space that has been added onto the building, again trying to maintain the original aesthetic of the building to create a seamless addition.
Currently, we have raised almost 70% of our goal toward this facility. We have a $3.5 million goal, and we are going public now with our capital campaign. Up to this point, we have been trying to reach all of the people in the Southwest Valley that we thought would like to have naming opportunities. These are people who have deep roots in the Southwest Valley. Their families go back many generations, and we in essence offered them the first right of refusal for naming opportunities. Now, with 30% left to raise, we're ready to go public with it. This is the booklet that we have. Not only in this facility will we keeping the history of the area, we will also be focusing on the arts and cultures of the area. Along with the museum, we're going to be having an archive and a research library. We at the Historical Society are the stewards of that history. Keeping that history is critical. We know how important keeping the accurate records, the photographs, the documents, the letters, the journals, the oral histories. All of that is critical to preserving the truth of history, not something that somebody just writes off the top of their head, but the actual facts from the people who lived that time period. Because of that, we are really earnest in our effort to have this Heritage Center, to raise the money for it, to preserve all of those artifacts and archival materials, and we want you to be a part of that. We want you to become part of our founders. Your name will be listed on our founders wall, and along with all of the people who lived that particular time period, your name will be recorded forever as one of the people who was visionary in helping us fund this important cultural facility. So please join us, become part of it. We know that you will love the facility. It's going to be a wonderful community center for programming and events, along with the preservation of the history and culture of the area. So please contact us, and we will be happy to talk with you about those possibilities.
One of the important pieces of participation is getting involved with the Heritage Center. And that takes finances. It's important for all of us to own a part of it. By doing ownership, it becomes a part of you. The money that's in your pocket, we'll take it. The money that's in your bank, we'll take it. The money you'd like to leave, we'll take it. Why? Because we need to preserve our history for those who are ahead of us. And because we need to let those ahead of us know what we did and how also they can participate. We can't do that unless we have that beautiful building and the artifacts that are in it. I've donated, most everybody I know donated. I want it to happen. I want it to open. So the extra coins that you have, the extra paper money, estates, we'll take it all. We appreciate any participation that you can give us. Thank you.
Only man has the power of speech, the power of thought. He is the one to whom much has been given, of whom much is expected.
We need to keep this history alive and teach future generations the importance of the great contributions made to this area. With your donation to the Heritage Center, it can become a part of something incredible that will live on forever.